From Field Pass Hockey Southern Command, this is the Inside the SPHL podcast. Here is your host, James Hayes.
Welcome to this week's episode of Inside the SPHL. We had a great week of hockey. We got some scenarios that we're going to go over a little bit later on how there's actually a few teams that can clinch playoff spots if things go certain ways over the weekend. But as always, I always bring on a guest so that you guys will actually listen to the podcast. And the guest I got for you today, he's having himself a great little season. He's from Rockford, Illinois originally. He's an Ivy League man. He went to Cornell University, played his college there. So that's the second Ivy League guy I've had on here. So maybe I'll get smarter by absorbing from him. And he's in his fourth professional season. He started out in Knoxville. He's had stops in Macon. And he's currently with the Birmingham Bulls. He's the red hot goaltender. It's Hayden Stewart, everybody. So without further ado, let's welcome him to the show. Hayden, how's it going, man?
It's good. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's nice, you guys coming on the podcast are what keeps it alive for me. It's like I said, nobody wants to listen to me talk, so that's cool. But I kind of touched on. I mean, you're having yourself a pretty good little season, and things are starting to look pretty good there in Birmingham. I mean, the wins are starting to come consecutively and everything. So I mean, what exactly do you think turned things around for you guys? Was it Coach Kerr showing up, or was it and kind of helping out? I know it's tough for one man. I love Simchuk, so I've never been one of those people that says he needs to go. I'm not trying to feed you into something like that, but I know one guy coaching a hockey team can get tough. Did that kind of help turn things around for you guys?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the things that helped us. Coach Simchuk works super hard, and he's working all the time. But even with that, it's really hard to coach a team with just one person, to run a bench during the entire game with just one person, and to pick up on tendencies and things that are going on by yourself while doing all that in the middle of the game is really tough. So definitely having a second set of eyes, a second set of hands, and another hockey mind to help out is something that's been benefited us recently. I also think, to start the season, we were just a pretty young team. A lot of rookies, kind of still are a little bit. But we've just kind of come together, and kind of everyone's now on the same page with the way that we're playing, and just growing together and sticking through the process over the course of the season. I think now we're finally starting to see the results of that. They just didn't come as early as we had hoped for.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody wants them to start right off the bat, but it's good to see things are working out. I mean, you guys had a pretty good weekend. You only let two by you, and sorry, I know I shouldn't bring up bad things, but that 2 wins, it was a heck of a weekend, and you were the player of the week. What was it, 2-3 weeks back? You had a couple shutouts. What does it mean to you? I've never asked a goaltender that. You're the second one I've had on here, but what does a shutout mean to a goaltender when you get one of those? I mean, you're tied for the lead in the league with 3. What does that mean whenever you get one? How does that? I don't know how to ask that question.
I think I kind of understand what you're saying, but I mean, it's pretty cool. But something that I always say, that I've always believed in, I always say in the room after the games, when we're kind of talking about the game, is a shutout is not an individual stat. A shutout is a team stat.
Yeah.
So usually what I'm thinking about, and what we're thinking about as a team when we get a shutout, is the way that we've played as a team. How we've played defensively, how we've possessed the puck to give the other team less chances to score, the way that we've managed games and managed the puck during the games. You put all that together, and it's a team. It ends up being a team shutout, and it's pretty cool as a team to be doing that. And we've been doing that a lot recently. We've been giving up a lot less goals compared to where we were at the beginning of the year. So it's kind of cool to see that progression from us over the course of the season, and seeing the results recently.
Yeah, that's got to make you and Lotzi a little bit more comfortable back there, knowing that you're not going to have to do it all by yourself. You got some help up front. The defense, like you said, came together. mean,
Yeah.
that's got to be comforting to know. So,
Mhm. Yeah, I think the whole team kind of feels that way. I think, and um, it's comforting, mid games because you're going to have ups and downs during every game. Um, Especially this time of year, every game becomes so tight. It's almost like all playoff games from here out. You always get to January, February, and all the teams are coming together, and everyone's playing good hockey. Everyone's a good team, and every game is tight. So to be in those tight games and to have that confidence that we might be down a goal or two right now, but we can just chip away and come back, and we have time to get back in the game, and we've been doing that. It's pretty cool.
yeah, definitely. I mean, sometimes it takes overtime. Sometimes you got to come down from a goal, but it seems like you guys are finding ways to pull it off when it matters, and it definitely mattered to take 4 points from Evansville. I mean, I'm sure they're the next ones ahead of you right now.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
but yeah, let's jump back a little bit in your career. Let's go back. Let's go back to your Ivy League days. Well, let's go a little bit further back. This is something I want to know too. When was it that you decided when you were playing hockey that goalie was the position you wanted to play? Because you gotta have a certain mind frame to play goalie over everything. Everybody wants to score goals, but
Yeah.
when did you decide you wanted to stop them?
That was probably, I'd say, when I was about 8. That was about my second and a half or third year of hockey. I decided
Yeah,
that I want to play goalie. Um, I already played a couple games of goalie before that. I think that's what helped me decide. I always say when everyone's a kid, usually everyone plays at least one game of goalie, and you probably give up 6 or 7 goals because it's your first time playing, and either you think I never ever want to do that again, or you think that wasn't that bad. I'd try doing it again.
yeah, yeah.
So the ones that feel like it wasn't too bad are usually the ones that end up being goalies in the long run. I always think.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I know everybody I talk to, I mean everybody always wants to play forward. That's just like whenever you're playing football in the yard growing up, everybody either wants to be quarterback or receiver. Nobody says I want to be the center. So but
Exactly.
so no, but it's an all important position. You're the only guy that's on the ice for the whole game. So you and sometimes it gets lonely out there whenever the boys are just drilling the other team on the other side. So
Yeah, that's great though.
yeah,
They'll
you
take
get
the loneliness if you're not getting any action if it means the puck's at the other end and we're playing well.
Yeah, so I always hear watching, the national broadcasts and stuff on that same note, like, well, he hasn't faced a lot of shots in a while, and so he's cold, and he's only faced 2 shots, and I mean, is that really a thing? I mean, like, do you want to see, consistent shots come in your direction, or would you
Yeah.
be all right only seeing one?
Well, I think most goalies would tell you that it's nice to get a good, consistent shots because you kind of get into a little rhythm into the game. But there's hopefully the team's playing well, and there's periods where you're not seeing shots for a while. So that's just where mentally it's just staying on it, and not worrying about too much, not worrying too much about how many shots you've had or when you're going to get the next shot. Just being focused for whenever the next one comes your way.
I gotcha. Yeah. All right. So that gives me a better description. I mean, watching the NHL guys and hearing that, I never understood. I'm like, I don't know. I think I'd like to just hang out back there and not
Yeah,
face a lot of shots. but
yeah, yeah.
that's
There's definitely something to be said about getting a lot of shots. I just remember reading in Ken Dryden's books. It's called The Game. He talks a little bit about because he was on Montreal when they were really good, so he wouldn't get as
yeah,
many shots as the other goalies would, but it can be a little. It can feel like there's a little bit more pressure sometimes because the other goalie's getting a ton of shots and making saves, and you don't want to give one up the second that they come down the ice and finally get a shot on you. So
yeah,
about managing that mentally, and it's just nature of the game.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I think in my opinion, the goaltender position really actually holds probably one of the most mentally strong positions. I think other positions you don't necessarily have to keep your head straight the whole time. I
Yeah,
don't know if that's the right word, but
yeah,
maybe somebody listening knows what I'm talking about.
yeah. I know what you mean. Definitely, it's important for everyone to stay mentally composed throughout the entire game. But usually for forwards and defensemen, they have a chance to take a second on the bench or something between plays after a goal happens or a mistake happens. But obviously for goaltenders, we don't get that opportunity. So
No, you don't want to go back to the bench.
yeah, short memory. Yeah, hopefully you're not going to the bench after a
Yeah.
goal. So short memory and just get ready for the next play.
I gotcha. So, all right. Well, now we'll talk about Cornell. Like I said, so when were you always a scholar growing up? I mean, you got to be a smart guy to go to Cornell. I know that. I mean, any of them Ivy League schools.
Yeah, typically I would say growing up I did pretty well in school and worked hard. But I wouldn't necessarily say call myself a scholar in terms of always loving everything about school. I liked learning a lot of things outside of school, like reading on my own and stuff like that.
Yeah, I gotcha. So was Cornell was that your first choice? Was that where you wanted to go, or did you have some other ideas in mind for yourself?
Well, I love that I went to Cornell. That's definitely I'm happy I went there. But when I was a kid, ever since I was like 10, I played for Madison and Madison Capitals organization. So I always wanted to go to University of Wisconsin because that's just the games that I always went to. That's all I knew about hockey. But I would say, yeah, once all the options I got and all the offers I got for school, Cornell was definitely the number one and the best choice for me.
What did you study while you were there?
I was in government.
Government. Oh man. That's that. All right. See, everybody says goalies are a little weird, and I thought you were pretty normal, but now I don't know. No, I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. But so what was it like playing hockey in an Ivy League school? I know that the Ivy Leagues when they play each other, those are always big rivalries. I mean, who's Cornell's biggest rivalry? I should know that, but I don't.
So our biggest rivalry is Harvard.
Okay.
And for all the games, our rink at Cornell is called Liner Rink. For all the games that Harvard would come in and play us, it'd be really packed. And there's actually a pretty interesting tradition there. All the students sneak fish into the rink and throw it on the ice when Harvard comes out for a starting lineup. So you do the starting lineups, then you got to wait 10 minutes for all the fish to be scraped off the ice.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a pretty unique tradition. It smells like, deli fish for the entire first period.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's unlike anything else.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know about that. That's cool. Now I'm gonna have to try to catch one of those games now just so I can see that. So that's one of those things where the security guards aren't checking people as they're walking in.
They always post don't bring fish into the game, but I don't think anyone's really checking on the students.
Yeah. No, you got to throw them on there. So, what was your in your 4 years there? What was you guys' record against Harvard? Did you come out on top?
That's a good question.
Oh, I'm digging deep now.
We might have been around even.
Yeah.
We were always a good team. Harvard had a lot of good hockey players at their school too. Obviously, a lot of them are playing high NHL minutes right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So while you were there, I mean, what was maybe one of the most notable players you got to play with or against?
Players play with or against. That's hard. There's been so we had a lot of good players on my team. I'm thinking some of the ones that people might know. So Jacob McDonald is a defenseman for the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, I know him.
He was a senior when I was a freshman. Joakim Ryan was a senior when I was a freshman. He played some games for the Kings and also the Sharks. And then we have some guys. We have a bunch of guys in the minor leagues right now. And then I played with a guy named Morgan Barron. He's a young guy in the Rangers organization.
Okay.
And he's got a few games with the Rangers. So yeah, it was awesome playing with those guys and working with those guys every day. I mean, the most notable players I can think about playing against would have been Harvard guys. Adam Fox, one. He just won the Norris. Marino, defenseman for Pittsburgh, was in there, and then you have like Kerfoot, Donato, Jimmy Vesey. So
Yeah, it's crazy to think all these guys. You don't think professional athletes come out of these schools, but you're seeing it more and more. I mean, Fitzpatrick. I remember whenever he was well, I think he's still quarterback, but everybody was just in shock that he was a Harvard guy, and
Harvard, yeah.
yeah, and so, but it's not as shocking anymore. Plus, I think hockey players are smarter than football players, so I'm not surprised. but so so you got any favorite moments from your playing time in Cornell? I mean, you have to have one game that stands out or something. I mean,
There's we've had a lot of big games, but I really think what I remember most, and I feel like this is kind of a cliche in the hockey world, is really just like the day to day, just working with all the guys and hanging out with all the guys, and competing with them every weekend. Just doing that every day and competing with them and alongside them, I think is just the most memorable thing from being there. Just the bonds that you develop, and guys are there for 4 years, so you're with the same core group for the most part every season. So you get really close with them, and you're together all the time. Basically, you have class together, you have workouts, practice, games, you live together. So I'd say that was the most memorable thing, is just all the time spent with those guys.
yeah, that's awesome. That's what a lot of guys say, but there's something to that. I mean, it just shows that hockey really kind of is a brotherhood. I mean, you develop lifelong. I'm sure you can still keep in touch with all those guys too, and so yeah, so coming out of Cornell, we'll move on from there. Did you want to continue your hockey career? I mean, obviously you did, or were you thinking
Yeah,
we were gonna? Yeah.
for
So
sure.
what?
Yeah, I just knew I wanted to play pro, wherever that would be.
Yeah,
That's
and so you went to Cincinnati for right out of college, right? And in the ECHL. So that how was tell me about your first game pro after playing all these years in Cornell. I mean, what was that like for you?
It was a little bit different. Like the routines and stuff before the game and the pro game are different than college. We have, when guys come in fresh out of college to our teams nowadays, I always forget the little things that they have questions about that I remember. You don't know, like the routines and stuff for just before a pro game compared to a college game.
Yeah,
So I remember
that's
all that. The game itself, I mean, it was fun. It's a little bit different. Like, there's only 3 lines. There's only 10 forwards in that league, like there is in our league that dress every game. And but it was a lot of fun. I mean, the speed was good. It's good hockey. That's what I remember. I didn't think it was a huge adjustment at first, but I do think pro hockey is very different from college hockey.
yeah. They don't let you do too much physicality in the NCAA as they
Uh,
do, especially in the
the,
coast.
the biggest thing I now that one of the things, the biggest thing that I remember my first pro game compared to when I was fresh out of college was the trapezoid area behind the net. They
Ah,
don't have that in college hockey, and I
yeah.
was pretty nervous about playing the puck and making sure that I stayed within the trapezoid, and did delay a game penalty my first game. But
You did?
no, I was
Oh,
hoping. I
okay.
was worried I would. Luckily, I didn't.
Yeah.
But that was probably the biggest change, and I don't know what you would call the technical part of the game, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that is I don't know. I feel like they just need to get rid of that, but then again, I don't know. Sometimes Patrick Waugh used to go way out of it and he'd skate all over the ice and it was ridiculous
Yeah,
to watch him. And you'd be like, "Dude, get back in the net. You're not a forward."
yeah. They say like because of guys like him and Marty Brodeur, they had to put the restricted area in
Yeah.
behind the net. I think it's good. I think it's good for generating offense. People want offensive games. The NHL is moving that way. Hockey's moving that way. I think it's good for generating more offense because obviously if they make a good dump into the corner, you can't go get the puck, and now it forces a retrieval, and it's harder to get out than if your goalie just rims it around somewhere, and you can skate straight out with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's interesting that they don't have it in college hockey yet. I think maybe eventually.
Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't. They're trying to, build these guys, develop them into guys that can be pros. But you're leaving that part out.
Yeah,
So,
I think eventually maybe they will, but college hockey is more of a defensive game right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of that trapezoid, I thought watching was it Saturday night's game whenever Evansville had the net empty. You were back there toward it when they had it, and I thought you looked at the goal. I thought maybe you thought about sending it down there. Was I right? Did I see that or no?
Yeah, you're right. It definitely crossed my mind. I definitely wanted to do it, but I was thinking, being up 1 goal with not much time left against the team that we're chasing might not be the best idea to try it right now.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it bounces off an Evansville player, and you're behind the net, and
they have an empty net. So I just thought about it, but just decided to make probably the smarter decision at the time, and just
I got excited for a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, "Come on, do it, man!" But
after we scored the empty netter, I said, "If they dump it again on me, I'm going for it." So.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you just need to tell all them guys, give us a 2-goal lead, get them to pull it. I mean, I'm gonna get one this year. That's cool. But kind of going back. So after you played your 4 games in Cincinnati, and then the next season you did you go to Orlando or Fort Wayne before Knoxville, or did you land in Knoxville first?
No, I went to training camp in Cincinnati, and then I was in Knoxville before Orlando.
Okay. I got you. And so Knoxville, I mean, looking at the numbers, I mean, and Knoxville's always a pretty solid team, especially defensively. I mean, it looks like what was your first year in the SPHL like for you? What was it different? I know you probably didn't necessarily want to be there. You wanted to be up in the coast at least, but I mean, what was the SPHL a little bit of a different style of game to you whenever you got in? And
well, I would compared to college, I would say yes. But compared to like coast, I wouldn't say it's a much different style of game.
No, I got you. So you stayed in Knoxville. Well, you went to Macon. How did that work out in the 1920 season? You played Knoxville and Macon. Refresh my memory on that. I should know how that happened, but refresh my memory. Did they trade you?
No, I was just I was released from Knoxville at that point.
Okay. See, there I am bringing up bad stuff again.
Yeah. No, that's okay. It's we had hit when I was in Knoxville. We had hit a tough patch. I hadn't had my best first half of the season, and it's just the nature of it. They have to make changes when things aren't going the right way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that kind of so then I got released there, and I got picked up by Macon and went there and played the rest of the year until we were shut down with COVID. And so I would have been there from, I think, like beginning of January through mid-March, maybe we were shut down.
Yeah, a couple months is after that. Yeah, so your numbers, it looked like you improved your game. And well, you played a few more games, but your numbers looked good. Did the new scenery that season, did it kind of help you refocus?
Yeah, it did. I think Macon, we played a little bit different style of game than Knoxville that year.
Yeah.
So it kind of the whole change of scenery and kind of our new system that we were playing, I think benefited me in the long run, and
I gotcha.
Just gave me a chance to get my game back to where I wanted it and get it back under me and getting a little bit of a rhythm.
Yeah, and then you went back to Knoxville again, and then they released you once again because and so we don't have to talk too much about that. We're going to talk about where you're at now. Then the Bulls picked you up, and and granted, we all know how the season went for the Bulls. We're not going to talk too much about that, but you had a pretty good season. It was just one of those things where kind of like the beginning of this year, there wasn't a whole lot of help. Not trying to trash anybody that was up there, but sometimes it just seemed like you didn't get a lot, but numbers wise, individually, it seemed like you had a good season. I mean, did you like coming to Birmingham? Did it did it kind of refresh you after, Knoxville dropped you twice?
Yeah, so Knoxville, the second time I went there, I figured it might be a 1 or 2 game thing because, that was the COVID year, and it was just both their goalies had COVID, and I just wanted to play. It didn't matter
Yeah.
where. But when I went to Birmingham, yeah, I was pretty excited. Immediately when I got here, the guys in the room were awesome. All the guys that we had last year, so I felt at home right away. Felt comfortable in the room right away, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I mean, it was good. Did you come in when Lots got his little suspension there at the beginning of the year? Was it in the middle of that, or were you already here?
when Lots got his suspension, that was my first game here.
Okay, so you were like, whoa, what's going on in Birmingham?
Yeah, so
So-
Levine was here before me, and he went up to the ECHL, and that's when.
yeah, yeah. See, I cover the team, and my memory is horrible. If I don't write stuff down, that's why I got to write articles about them. I should know all these things I'm asking you, but I
Lots
don't.
of fun.
But so you took on the workload right away, though. I remember you were holding quite a bit of that workload, and then last year, and then they brought you back again this year, and um, it's been you and Lots' show really all year. What's it like to be able to work and know that you don't have to carry all of it? I mean, you guys just faced Bill with Evansville, and he's got to take all of it, and Levine and Peoria, he's taking all of it. Is it nice to know that you can take a night off? I mean, or I'm sure you probably want to play every game, but
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, it's obviously you want to play every game, but the way that the game is today and the way that goaltending is today, you can't. It's just too physically, mentally, emotionally taxing. The game is too fast now. There's more chances. It's more difficult. So it's nice to have, you can schedule. Okay, I play this game. I have this game off, and we're able to do that kind of thing. And then that over the course of the year you're going to have two fresh goalies because nobody's going to get too worn down. Not saying that guys playing a lot of minutes or a lot of games somewhere else
yeah,
will.
yeah,
It's
no.
just as a principle.
Yeah. So when you're on the bench and Lots is in goal, I always notice, and this is every goaltending duo and everywhere, you guys will come up and talk to each other. I mean, do you still play goalie in your mind, and when he comes over, do you kind of give him advice? Does he do the same to you and be like, "Hey, this guy's doing this," and stuff like, is that or is
Yeah,
it just like, "Hey man, good game"?
it's all that. So you're not obviously as mentally I don't know, you're not as mentally intense level as you would be as if you
Yeah.
were in the. But as the game rolls on, and Lotzi and I, when we're on the bench, we're able to pick up different tendencies that the other team may be doing. So we can tell them, hey, we're noticing this on their power play. This is where they want to go. We're noticing this on their forecheck. This is what we're seeing. Sometimes we'll talk about plays that just happen. Like, hey, if we stop a puck behind the net and move it to our D man, we'll say, was that the right play? Was there a better play that you saw I could have made? Did I have someone else open? Sometimes if we, just giving up a goal, we'll say, what'd you see? Is there an adjustment? And then, yeah, sometimes it's just encouragement and keeping each other up and positive and, just supportive with whatever the guy in net needs or is asking or all of
Yeah.
that.
Giving him his water bottle, if he
Yeah,
forgot it on top of the net.
exactly.
So, yeah, I got you. So I want to let you know that I've been trying to get this to stick in Birmingham since last year. I've been trying to get everybody to chant "Stew," but nobody will do it. I've told so many fans, but everybody's like, "No, it'll sound like we're booing him." I'm like, "No." They did it with Grubauer in Colorado. They did it with Tuukka Rask. I was like,
Yeah,
he'll know he's not getting booed, but
yeah.
nobody will do it. Nobody will go for it, man.
It's a common thing. They have that in Toronto now with Jack Campbell. They say "soup" when he makes a
Yeah,
save.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just,
So I'm
but
trying to.
yeah. But as the goalie and as the team, that they're not booing you. But I think some of them mentioned that maybe during starting lineups they've tried doing something like that. So maybe that will finally stick if
Yeah,
they keep doing it during the lineups, and then it'll make its way into the games.
yeah, definitely. We need everybody to know, or we need you to know that everybody's got your back and they're actually watching, and they're encouraging you out there. So it seems like a lot of guys are just reading the board up there, and they're only getting noisy whenever it tells them to, and half the time the
Yeah, yeah.
whistle's blown. And so
Yeah.
we got, and I'm not talking bad about Birmingham fans. I'm going to lose all my Birmingham listeners, and then I'm going to get jumped at the next game.
No,
No.
yeah, they've been so great over the course of this entire season. It's unbelievable. We didn't have our best start. I don't even know. There was a time where I don't know how long it had been before the stretch that we had gone on before or between wins at home. There was a stretch where we didn't win at home for a long time. I think
Yeah,
that I remember.
yeah.
Being on it, they stuck with us the whole time. They've given us full support the entire time. That haven't said anything negative to me, so or to any of the guys on the team, and it's been unbelievable, and we're pretty grateful for that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, the fan base in Birmingham is very passionate, and they tend to stick behind their team, win or lose, and it's great. I see it on Facebook groups when people start talking trash about the Bulls. A Birmingham fan will get on there and set them straight.
Yeah.
But so kind of wrap things up. If what kind of things do you do outside of hockey? We've just been talking about hockey. What do you do when you're not playing hockey? I mean, in the off season, or yeah, in the off
Um,
season.
Off season. Well, off season is just different types of work, and then obviously training for season. I'm usually back home in Illinois, so I get to see my family a lot. Spend time with my brothers, with my family. So that's been pretty good. And also just go to visit friends that I have in different places, friends from school, friends from juniors, because there's no time to travel during the season. So
No, not at all, not at all. And it sounds like most of your friends are playing somewhere all over the place too. So the off season's the only time you get together.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So if you weren't playing hockey, what would you be doing with that government degree, or
Oh,
post hockey even? I mean,
yeah,
what
yeah.
was the idea there?
Um, I don't know exactly. I'd be working somewhere. I'm not sure. I don't think that I would be working in government. I think I'd be working in something else. If I ever did, I always think if I ever did something in government, it wouldn't be for a while until
Yeah.
I've until I've worked somewhere else for a long time, and that's something that I feel like I'd want to do.
Yeah, I gotcha. So that's it. The only way that I would really want to work government is if it was like that TV show Parks and Rec. I could get into that kind of government, but I don't think I could handle all the other stuff.
Yeah,
But that's all I got for you, man. I really do appreciate you coming on the show, and I hope I wish you the best the rest of the season, and the whole team all together, and hopefully the wins keep coming in for you guys, and you can make the playoffs, make that push, because the way things are looking, I feel like you guys can pull it off. So
yeah.
good luck moving forward, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. We'll just stick to our process, and let the results fall where they are. Fall
Yeah,
where they.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right, man. Well, I'll let you go. And like I said, have a good rest of the season. We'll catch up later on down the road.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. It was Hayden Stewart, the goaltender for the Birmingham Bulls, one of the duo there between Austin Lotz and himself. Stewart's picked up a lot of the workload lately because Lotz was called up. He is back now, but and they're kind of splitting the duties. But it he's having himself a good little season here, and none of the players ever want to look at the personal achievements, which, because it's a team sport, but I'll point them out. So that's what I'm here for. But yeah, that was a great interview as always. And like I said, I always appreciate having guys on. I know that's the third Bull I've had on, and I don't want you guys to think this is a Bulls podcast, but I felt like since Stewart's been playing so well here lately, that it'd be nice to bring a guy on. And it's been a while since I've had a goaltender. I don't want people to think I don't like goaltenders on. The second episode that I did this season was the last time I had one, and that was Peter DeSalvo, who's playing in Danbury now, of all places. He moved on to Danbury with the Hat Tricks in the FPHL after Quad City released him. But yeah, I don't think you guys needed to hear all that. I was just saying I'm trying to bring a variety of positions on, and why not bring him on? And yeah, I always try to bring you the best guests I can, because this next segment of the podcast, as you guys all know, probably isn't the greatest just listening to me, but I do appreciate you guys listening. And I put a lot of work into today's podcast. And I know that nobody that I work with or for is listening to this in my day job, but I didn't work a little bit today, and I did some math, and I'm bad at math, but I was trying to figure out how some teams can get into the playoffs this weekend, and seeing if teams, how close some teams were to being eliminated, and just having a little fun with that so that I could talk to you guys about that. And yeah, that's it. So let me kind of give you a run through this last weekend. So this last week, I should say, because hockey started, we started last Wednesday with Evansville and Vermilion County, and Evansville, like I didn't say yet, but Evansville sitting in that final playoff spot right now. Excuse me there. That's not very professional. But so they played Vermilion County, and Evansville laid the smackdown on the Bobcats. They put up 3 goals in the first period. They put up 3 goals in the second period, and they put up 4 goals in the third period. They beat the Bobcats 10-2. So there's a lot of double-digit scoring games this year. They're not all against the Bobcats, but this one happened to be. And I mean, it was insane. I mean, Plevy got 2 goals. Who else got a couple of goals? Let's see. Kirkby got a couple of goals. Ferraro got a couple of goals. And yeah, it was ridiculous. And then Koplinger, I'm sorry if I say that name wrong, but he was the guy that got both goals for the Bobcats. But that was way back on Wednesday. Thursday night, we had a Knoxville-Peoria showdown, battle of 2 of the top teams in the league. And it was a defensive battle, really, all the way up until the third period. It was 1-0 in favor of the Ice Bears going into the third period. And then Peoria just decided they were going to start it out. Godbout, he scored a hat trick in the third period. You know, he started it a minute in, got his second one 8 minutes in, and then his third one 9 minutes. And it was just over a minute later that he got his hat trick. He did it all in 9 minutes and 38 seconds. And Ballant actually scored in between there. He's fresh back. He came back. That was his first game back with the Ice Bears after spending some time up in the coast. But Peoria just came on strong. And Peoria, if you look at their Twitter feed, they're the hottest team in the SPHL, they're going to say. And I think it's a toss-up between them and Fayetteville. You can't really tell me why they aren't. I know Peoria's probably got a few more wins in their streak going on right now, but yeah, Knoxville, who was number 1 very briefly, they were struggling there, and that was how that went. And then Friday night, when all the games started going, guess who played? Fayetteville and Roanoke. Can you believe that those 2 teams played each other? I can't believe it. Yeah. Okay. So enough of that stupidity. But anyway, so Fayetteville laid the smackdown on Roanoke. So they've gotten Roanoke's number. There for a while, Roanoke had their number. They got it back. They scored 7 goals. Roanoke didn't get anything till the third period. They got a couple of goals late. Well, not late. Travis Armstrong's came at 9:16 in the third, but they handled it right there. And then next one up was Peoria and Huntsville. I know everybody was excited about that, and I forgot to tell you guys that that's the game. That's the series over the weekend. I suggest watching if you're not watching your team at that time. But yeah, it was a good game. This series was everything you'd imagine it to be. So the Friday night game was closer than the Saturday night game. It took it to a shootout, and I got a crack out of Peoria's Twitter because Huntsville won this one in the shootout, and when Peoria tweeted it out, they said Huntsville wins in the skills competition or something along those lines, and that really is, I mean, that's kind of what it is a skills competition. But that was kind of a nice little Nice little blow there, a little low jab. I don't know, it wasn't a big hit, but it was pretty good. And but yes, Nukovic got the shootout goal, and that was his 290th point, and he is now the Huntsville Havoc's all-time leading scorer, which is pretty cool because Huntsville has been around since the inception of the league. So that's a pretty big achievement for a guy to have on a team in this league, especially a team that's been around since the league started, like I said. So that was a good game there. And then we had Quad City and Vermilion County. Remember, Vermilion County gave up 10 to Evansville. They didn't give up 10 to Quad City, but they did give up 6. 6-2 was the loss there. It just didn't work out. I mean, they fell behind 3-0 early. They got a goal back in the second period, but at that point they were already behind 4-0, and they just never really were able to get back in that one, unfortunately. And that was a home game for them. And yeah, it's just rough game for Vermilion County. Great game for Quad City. Quad City needs that. Quad City. Remember, I said, well, we don't remember. I mean, if you follow the league, Quad City kind of struggled there for a little bit, and they need to get their confidence back. And it looks like they're starting to get things right in the right direction. So next game on Friday night was Knoxville and Pensacola. And Knoxville handled Pensacola pretty dang well after losing their previous game, and Knoxville got back in the win column. Jason Price scored one late in that first period to give them a 1-0 lead heading into the second. They ended up winning this one 4-1. The only goal scored by Pensacola was Bondarenko. Don't know if I'm saying it right. Don't know. Sorry, but yeah, Knoxville got that one 4-1 and got themselves back in that win column. And then after that, we had, well, not after that. I'm saying it like these games were back to back in time. They were all going on at the same time for the most part. But next was Evansville traveled to Birmingham after putting those 10 goals up. You had to think they were feeling it, I mean, we all know that Vermilion County is kind of struggling. Not kind of. We all know they are struggling, and especially defensively. But scoring 10 goals, I mean, it doesn't matter who you're scoring it against. These guys are all professionals. So you had to know that Evansville was feeling good coming into this one. Well, this game was the opposite of the game they played back on Wednesday. It was a 2-1 overtime victory for the Bulls. The Bulls didn't get what they needed out of that necessarily. They did get the 2 points, but they let Evansville have one of them by taking that one to overtime. But a win's a win, and nobody's going to complain. And it was Evansville went up in the first period. Evansville played a good first period, and the Bulls, they bounced back, and they just started playing well. And they got a goal. And Donahue, was on that was his third straight game, he got a goal in, playing really well in Birmingham. And then late in overtime was about over. Colton Fletcher sends it home, and that was it for Saturday. The Bulls were back in the win column. Evansville was in the loss column there. So we'll move on to Saturday. I said Saturday. That was it for Friday. Sorry. I'm trying to jump ahead. Saturday, Fayetteville and Roanoke again. Fayetteville won this one, but they didn't win it as bad as they did the first night. This one was 5-4. There was a lot of goals in this one. The second period had 6 goals altogether in it. Fayetteville scored 4, Roanoke scored 2, and Oliveri got 2 of the goals for Fayetteville. Matt O'Day got 2 goals for Roanoke. So those were your leading goal scorers in the game, and it just didn't work out. Roanoke, they got that one goal in the third. They were the only team to score in the third, and it was late. They just couldn't tie things up and take Fayetteville into overtime. So Fayetteville continues their hot streak. And then we'll go to Birmingham and Evansville. Once again, Evansville played very well in the first period in this one. And they went up 1-0 early, 3 minutes in. And then the second period, the Bulls basically took over. They got 2 goals in the second period, and then they got the empty netter at the very end, which is the time frame in which I'm referencing that I was referencing when we had Stewart on about scoring a goal. I'm telling you, I looked at him, I seen him look at the net, and I was like, oh yeah, he's going to do it. He didn't. Like he said, he changed his mind at the last second, but I thought he was going to take a chance. But yeah, that's probably why he's a great goaltender, and that's why I'm sitting here talking, is because I would have tried to take that shot, and then it would have ended up turning into the tying goal against, and that would have been horrible. But yeah, so next up, Peoria and Huntsville, round 2. Peoria shut the Havoc out. Apparently they were pretty pissed about the night before. So they got a goal a period. They won 3-0. Cody Dion got a goal. That's right, Cody Dion, friend of the show. And then Alec Bear got the other 2 goals, and Huntsville got the L. So Peoria came out of the weekend getting 3 points. So that's good for Peoria. They are one of the hottest teams in the league. I still say Fayetteville's one of the hottest teams too. I feel like it's a tie in my mind for the 2 of them, but each one of those teams will tell you different. So then Knoxville, Pensacola. Knoxville beat them the night before. Knoxville went up 2-0 early in this one. Pensacola was never able to recover from that, and they did get one in the second period, but that was it. Knoxville took down the Ice Flyers for the second night in a row. And we go down Vermilion County and Quad City. The first one was in VC, Danville, at the David S. Palmer Arena. This one was at the Tax Slayer Center in Quad City, and Vermilion County came to play. Well, that's a dumb thing to say. They always come to play. Everybody comes to play. Why do people say that? Anyways, Vermilion County actually led this game heading into the second period. The Bobcats had 1-0. Aaron Ryback, former Bull. He got the goal late middle. Yeah, late middle. That's what we're going with the first period. And then he actually got 2 goals. He got one in the third too. But Quad City tied it up, and then that's when the Bobcats got another goal, and so they were leading going into the third period. And then in the third period, Shinneruck got the tying goal, and Price and Shinneruck scored. And I'm probably saying Shinkaruk. I don't know. I got to do better at this stuff. If I ever want to do this and be on TV instead of YouTube, I got to learn how to say these guys' names. That's my new goal. So anyways, so the man whom I can't say his name also got the overtime winner. Vermilion County got a point out of it. So that's their first point in a while they've got. Good for them, but even better for Quad City. They got the 2 points, and that wrapped up the weekend. So there was some good games. There was some bad games. And that's really about it. So coming up this week, so we got some teams that can actually clinch playoff spots. So like I said, I took notes earlier. I took notes. So right now, if Huntsville, they're sitting number 1 in the league at 60 points. So if Huntsville wins 1 against the Bulls, then if Huntsville wins, I did all this prepping and I'm screwing this up. Huntsville can clinch a playoff spot Sunday if they win both games against the Bulls. They're playing at home and home against Birmingham. And if they win both games, or if they win once and lose in overtime in the other. So Huntsville needs a minimum of 3 points coming out of this weekend to clinch a playoff spot. So we'll see. We'll see if they can do that. I know my guest does not want that to be the case that I had on earlier. So we'll see. We'll see if the Bulls have something to say. They did shut Huntsville out earlier this year. But yeah, Huntsville has the best. They're the closest to clinching, not the best chance. I'm not going to say that because then it sounds like I'm trashing the Bulls. Everybody already thinks I was trashing the Bulls fans, and I wasn't. Trust me, I don't. I wasn't. I promise. Anyways, Knoxville, they're sitting at 59 points right now. They can clinch if they win all 3 games this weekend because they got 3 of them. They can clinch if the Bulls drop 1 game against Huntsville this weekend and Knoxville wins 2. And they can also clinch if the Bulls lose both games and Knoxville will only have to win 1 game. So Knoxville actually controls their own destiny, and it doesn't have anything to do with anybody else playing because all they need to do is win 3 games. They need 65 points to clinch a playoff spot. That's this week's number too. Next week, if you're listening to this podcast, that's not the number next week. The numbers can vary, but right now, 65 points is the magic number to get into the playoffs. And they can do it by themselves if they can win all 3 games. Now, while we're talking about that, let's take a look at the Knoxville Ice Bears schedule. Who do they have this week? Yeah, I was listening to a podcast, and there's a lot of Googling going on that podcast. And I used to feel bad if I was looking down and reading notes, but I don't anymore because other people do it too. So we're not, they do it a lot longer and a lot more than I do on some of these other podcasts. So I don't feel so bad about it. But this is a long way of me delaying right now. So who does Knoxville got this week? They got Macon. They got them in Macon, the first game they're playing. The next 2 are at home against the Fayetteville Marksmen. Should be some pretty good hockey right there. If you ask me, anyways, that should be some pretty good hockey. Fayetteville and Knoxville, both very good teams. And yeah, so that is the scenario once again. So they can clinch if they win all 3 games. They can clinch if the Bulls drop 1 and they win 2 of the games. They can clinch if the Bulls lose twice and they only win 1 of the games. Now, I know what you Knoxville fans are thinking. Well, the Bulls are going to lose twice to Huntsville, and we're definitely going to beat Macon, so we're going to clinch. But you can't say that. You can't. We're not going there. But anyways, Peoria, they are also a team that can clinch this weekend. So they can clinch if they win all 3 games. And the Bulls have to lose both of their games. That's the scenario there. Or if the Bulls lose both games and Peoria wins twice and takes 1 to overtime. Sorry, my note was a little, I had trouble reading my own note there and I typed it. That's the bad part. But so yeah, if Peoria, if the Bulls lose, Bulls need to lose a lot for Peoria to get in. That's what we're looking at here. So but that's where we're at on there. So sorry, Peoria. I don't know. I feel like the Bulls aren't going to lose everything this weekend, but who knows? You never know in this league. But I just don't feel like they can. But those are the 3 teams. You want to hear it again. So Huntsville can clinch if they win both games or win 1 and take another 1 to overtime. Knoxville can go if they can clinch if they win all 3 games, or if the Bulls drop 1 and Knoxville wins 2, or if the Bulls lose twice and Knoxville wins once. Peoria can clinch if the Bulls lose and they win all 3 games, or if the Bulls lose both and Peoria only wins 2 games and takes 1 to overtime. So that's the scenarios for that. So let's look at the bottom end of the standings now. Nobody is mathematically eliminated, and I know all you Vermilion County haters out there say they are. Not mathematically. Mathematically, if things just fell apart and we were in a different world, I believe they could finish as high as 6th. 5th or 6th in the league. But that would mean a lot of teams would have to not win any more games this season. And that's not necessarily how things go in this league. It's just not. But anyways, so out of the 3 teams, and this is my opinion, it's my personal opinion. And, I got a little bit of Bulls bias here because that's the team I cover. That's the team I'm closest to. But I do feel like the Bulls have the best shot at taking that 8 seed from either Evansville or Pensacola, who are both tied right now with 39 points. 39 points. Let me pull that up. A whole lot of good that Preppin did for me today. So 39, yeah. Pensacola is sitting in the 7 spot. Evansville's sitting in the 8 spot. Both teams have 39 points. But so either one of those teams the Bulls can catch. Well, the Bulls can really catch anybody. I mean, if things all fall apart for other teams and blah, blah, blah. But those are the 2 teams that we're going to say they're chasing right now. And they right now, those would be out of those 2 teams. The Bulls play Evansville 3 more times, twice in Evansville and once at home. And then they play Pensacola twice. So that's 10 points. So if the Bulls win only those games the rest of the season, the Bulls will not go to the playoffs, even if Evansville and Pensacola lose every single game to close out the year. The Bulls got 19 more games. Let's see. I did write this one down. Pensacola has 20 more games. Evansville has 18 more games. And so Evansville has the least amount of games there. Pensacola's got 2 games in hand. Bulls got 1 game in hand. But yeah, so the Bulls will have to do more than just beat those 2 teams. They will miss the playoffs by 3 points if, like I said, excuse me, get a little sip there. So yeah. So if Evansville, Pensacola lose every single game the rest of the season, the Bulls obviously would be teams beating them. Bulls still miss the playoffs by 3 points. They're going to have to put together more than just those wins, which I'm sure they know that. But now you know that if you didn't know that. And so Macon and Vermilion County, they're not in as good a shape looking at it, but they can still make it. Macon still has 22 games, which is a total of 55 points that they can get. They're sitting at 6-25, and who knows? It could happen. You never know. But like I said, in my opinion, I feel like Birmingham has the best shot at it. But what's to say Birmingham and Macon can't make it? Or what's to say Vermilion County can't? And, Roanoke's not safe either. Roanoke's sitting with 40 points right now. They're only 1 point ahead. So from 6th to 8th is only a 1 point separation. And then you got an 11-point separation between 6th and 5th. 5th's the Marksman with 51 points. So, yeah, you got down towards the bottom, and the Bulls are sitting at 26. They're 13 points out. I don't know if I said that. But and then Macon's got 15 points, and Vermilion County's got 10 points. And but, yeah, so things have kind of separated. So you got an 11-point separation there. And then 5th and 4th, Fayetteville is sitting at 51 points. Quad City's sitting at 52 points. Peoria's sitting at 56 points. Knoxville at 59. And Huntsville at 60. So a little bit closer there. Your 3rd, 4th, and 5th, they're all pretty close. But yeah. So right now, the hottest team in hockey, which statistically, yes, it's Peoria. They're 12-0-1-1. They have not lost a game in regulation in their last 14 attempts. Fayetteville is 8-0 in they're on an 8-game win streak. And that's really the best streak right now. The worst streak is the Bobcats, who have not won a game in 16 games. They have not won a game. They're 0-14-2. Very tough up there in Danville right now. But yeah, and then other than that, you got 0-2s, 2-0s, and stuff like that. Nothing really to talk about. Well, Quad City, they're 4-0-1. They're putting together some wins after struggling a wee bit there. But Knoxville, they dropped a bunch of games there after being number 1. They're back on a 2-game winning streak and looking pretty good. But and like I said, there's 3 teams that can clinch this weekend. It all really, with the exception of Knoxville, who can do it by just simply winning all 3 of their games. But other than that, it all depends on the Bulls. So I'm not just talking about the Bulls because I cover the Bulls, because technically I cover the whole league, because that's what this podcast is. But it really does depend on the Bulls. The Bulls are the team right there that kind of give that cutoff spot, the points, and the way you do the math. And I hate math. And if anybody out there wants to come on this podcast and do the math part for me, I would greatly appreciate it, because I don't like doing math. It's the worst. It's absolutely the worst. But I don't think I have anything else for you guys. This was a little bit of a shorter podcast this week, but it's Valentine's Day while I'm recording this. I know it comes out on Wednesdays, but it's Monday, February 14th as I record, and I'm sure my wife will be very happy that I'm not that I'm going to cut this off about an hour or about a half hour earlier than normal. So, like I said, that's it, and we got a great week of hockey coming up again. And next week I should be able to bring you guys another awesome guest. And don't forget, follow me on Twitter There it is, right there. Right there. Follow me on Twitter for all the latest news around the SPHL at FPH Bulls. Other than that, I will see you guys next time.
You've been listening to the Inside the SPHL podcast. Got a topic you'd like discussed? Follow James on Twitter at FPH Bulls. For the latest news on the SPHL and the rest of minor league hockey, download the Field Pass Hockey app, now available in the Apple and Android app stores.